as stated before, we're going to do a live stream with Dan. I sent him the link. He should be joining us shortly. It's a little confusing how this works, so I don't know how long it'll take him. So until then, I will just sit here and sand. Danny informed me that I fell asleep. That Howard's control line or control geometry video was good. We're gonna end up doing a standalone video of that. I'll edit it up. I think I don't know if what time or if Steve is gonna join me or whatever. Hey, we got one watcher. As stated, Dan should be along here shortly. I suppose I could text him and have him check his email. Text to Dan. Check your email. There we go. So I sent him a message, an email, and a message. So hopefully he gets it together. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what we're going to do. He said he's cleaned his bench off, so I need to get John on here too. You know what? I'm going to check this wingspan of this thing. Let's use the metal ruler. Should be better. So we got 30 to the inboard side. Yeah, worked out to 59 inches. Actually, it's 58 and a quarter or whatever. 30. Yep, it's 58 and 3/4. This is actually correct. I guess I laid it out different, but it came out the same, so that's good. All right, what am I going to do today? I guess I could hollow some. When Dan gets on here, I can mute my mic and I'll get the Dremel and hollow that shit out and let him talk to you. and get the scoop, maybe. Start scooping. Get that glued on. Come on, Danny. We'll work on this today, I guess. I got so much to do. Okay, power. We're starting out at 2.3 ounces. I got to get this down to a ½ ounce. 2.3 ounces. It'd be pretty easy to get 50% off of it. Let's find a scoop. We got a scoop here. Danny, if you're watching this and you can't get on, call me. Oh, this is hard wood, boy. Shit, I just want to do that. There's Dan. All right, let's bring him in. We got Danny on here. All right, Dan, you're on live.
All right. Took me a few extra minutes. I had to update a browser setting.
Are you still on your phone?
Yeah, it's always something, you know it. I'll get it ironed out.
Well, maybe it won't time out now. You updated the browser.
Yeah, that might have had something to do with it. Hey, one of the things I wanted to mention, I'll do it up front here, is Sparky and I have been thinking about this World Championship and trying to stream. So I want to put something out there for everybody that's watching. And I'm not asking for anybody to do anything. I just want somebody to give me their input if they know about it. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to stream this World Championship. And I was telling Sparky, I said, I was going to get an 80D camera. It's a Canon. And they're used. They're relatively inexpensive. But they use them for live streaming a lot. The beauty of that camera, it's a DSLR, so you can actually attach an FS lens to it. So I've got some really good lenses, 500 f4, 7200, 100, 400. I mean, it's like professional stuff. The question to everybody is, what's the best way to actually hook up that camera to live stream from the L-pad in Muncie? So I told Sparky, I said, we upgraded to a Verizon internet connection here, and it's been pretty seamless. The only glitch I had was yesterday with the Saturday at Dan's, which was really a Friday. So the glitch I had is when I was actually streaming on Sparky's stun hanger, and I picked up my phone and I tried to give him a call at the same time, so it basically overloaded it. I'm thinking we could take a Verizon or some internet connection, like 5G box, put it in the pagoda out there, or whatever you call that thing, and somehow live stream from Muncie with a really, really good camera. So if anybody has any questions about internet connectivity, let Sparky or I know.
Not questions, answers.
Say what?
We don't need questions. We need answers.
Yes, we need answers. We need answers to internet connectivity, live streaming. Now, if you look at these guys at live stream, they've got, I don't know, multiple batteries, multiple, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. So give me some feedback on that. Or if somebody out there knows anybody with a live stream package I can hook an 80D or a 90D to, or whatever it might be, to get a really good connection, let us know, because it's just something we've been throwing around. So what you're looking at here is this, oh my gosh, what is it, 1996. I built this airplane, I don't know, ages ago, and what you're looking at is a Blue Max. And this Blue Max, it's pretty much stock. It's a foam wing. Sparky calls it my lumber wagon, but it does have good wood in it. I'm shooting for the mid-60s. With this wing area, if I can keep it in the mid-60s, I'll be all right, but I don't want 70 on it. I think I might be able to do it. So what I was going to work on today is maybe some fillets in the canopy. It's one of these things where you just fiddle around forever. And this morning I spliced in some wood here. And what I'm going to do is probably putty that up a little bit. And probably paint the helmet. I don't know if I'll get the canopy attached, but you know, I'll get everything ready to go in here. I'd like to find some dials or some knickknacks, tchotchkes to put in this thing. I might even come up here with a little bit, move the pilot forward, like build in a little headrest back here or something.
Let me tell you what. Let me tell you what is the lightest, most detailing thing you can do to that canopy or the cockpit, and it looks really good. It's what's in my Monado.
Yeah, what's that?
Go on the internet and find the instrument panel to a real airplane.
Okay.
And print it out on a piece of paper, scaled down to fit the dashboard in there, and glue it to it.
Okay. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, that'd be the way to go, wouldn't it?
It don't weigh nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I remember JTech or something back in the day, they'd have little instruments you could buy, paper, you know. So, yeah, I like your idea. We could go in there and do that. Here's something, I don't know, it's not light, but you don't use much. This is like it's a Bondo, but it's thinner than Bondo. It spreads really thin. It's for spot putty. So if you have 3M spot putty, this is sort of like the replacement of it. And it's the same thing with Bondo. It's got the MEK. I tried it, and Bondo's hard to sand, and it's heavy. It's like a rock. If you use this for pinholes or something really small, it allows you to paint quicker than the spot putty. Now, the spot putty is pretty quick, so I was going to use some of this right around the canopy area. But Now Sparky's going to be beating me up all day about the weight of this thing, so. But, that's all right. I can take it. So basically, today is just going to be an ad lib here. We're just going to be like a hangout in the shop and fiddling with this stuff as we go. So I guess I could just say what?
I'm just carving out my top block now.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a lot of little stuff to do to this now. All the big stuff is done.
Yeah.
It's all
Hey,
still.
I'll give a shout out to Howard Rush. He had a really neat presentation last night on the Hangouts with Charles. If any of you guys are watching today,
I'm gonna do a video of it. So I already
Okay.
mentioned that.
Okay. It's pretty neat stuff. I think it's spent a lot of time, and I think it's spot on. He did a good job with it, and I understand sometimes it's not the most glamorous stuff of airplanes, but it's important, and there was a lot of questions I had that were answered, and it's sort of nice to see it represented in the numbers. So this is just like a normal Bondo. You got to get this stuff on there. It doesn't take long. This stuff is kicking off quick.
It's called. Is it polyester?
Yeah, it's a polyester base, MEK,
2-part.
2-part.
Yeah, it's polyester bond spot putty.
Yeah, it's basically it's Bondo, but it's thinned out. Now there's a guy that did something on the internet. He took Bondo, which was normally really thick, and he actually introduced regular polyester resin into it to thin it out.
It's an old time body trick.
Is it? I figured somebody old like you'd know that.
Yeah.
You and Bad Chad, you know how that works.
No, Bad Chad's the Bondo king. He's the Bondo bug. Let's build another Bondo.
Yeah.
6 gallon of Bondo and 4 gallon of paint, and we got something.
Yeah.
Don't hit any bumps. The fenders might crack off. I quit watching him because he never finishes anything.
Does anybody take over the reins and finish it, or how's it work?
I don't know. I've never seen any finished works from him.
No.
He's got that weenie wagon thing that he built. That's not done. He's got that goofy truck, COE truck he built. That's not done. A lot of shop time. There's nothing's done. It's just got a whole yard full of scrap.
Well, I can't say too much about getting stuff done because you know I'm the king of that. And one of the reasons here, coming in here today, I got to keep my motivation up here, keep grinding away to get this thing done. And I thought, well, as I'm out here messing with this, I might as well come in here and stream it. And so this stuff here starting to thicken up already.
Now this airplane of Dan's, 2 years ago, I said, Dan, you got to get on it or you won't have an airplane to fly. And guess what? I'll get to it. Yeah, well.
I'll tell you what, though, Sparky, to be honest with you, and you already know this, that even if it would have been done, I don't know if I would have been able to fly it because all the family commitments I had come up.
Yeah.
I was busy. I mean, life gets in the way. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, these guys that are in the hobby, that every once in a while, you know, you see these people disappear, and there's a lot of different reasons, but I had a lot going on with I was trying to help my mom and my sister out. So it was nothing bad. It was just something I had to do. So right now you can see this stuff. See, this stuff's already hardening up.
Gary Sinclair said hi.
Hi, Gary.
Yeah, sometime today I'll download that video and edit out the beginning and the ending and just leave Howard in there.
Yeah, I think he's got some neat stuff. And Bob Hunt came on a few times, and he did like a foam wing sheeting demo. And I'm trying to think a few more other things that were really interesting.
Yeah, maybe we make a couple of videos out of them.
Yeah. So what I'm going to try to do on this canopy, I'm going to paint the windscreen. Sparky cut his out, and he put a pilot in his. I'm just going to go the quick and dirty way. I'm just going to paint a windscreen on here. And go with that. I like Sparky's idea better, but this might be a little quicker. So I think what I'm going to try to do is incorporate the windscreen in with some details on the helmet. I'll show you here in a second. So I'm just masking this thing off with a little blue tape. This is that automotive fine line tape. The blue tape is well, it's similar to the light green tape, but the blue tape is a little bit more flexible. This stuff is good for straight lines.
Need to get some 16th blue tape.
Yeah, this is 8th, I think. So I think what I'm doing today, I think this will go around the radius, but if you're doing the scallops, a really tight one, you probably want the 16th. I might have some. I got to go over there and look, but I might have some. I don't know.
Now, for you guys who don't have the 16th tape and want to use 16th tape and they're in a jam, you can go to AutoZone and buy 16th pinstriping tape. But don't just stick it down without sticking it on your shirt because it's really sticky.
Okay.
You know, take some of the stick off of it.
Yeah. I don't know how symmetrical I can keep this, but we'll find out. I guess it's like getting a haircut with your sideburns. They don't look at both sides at once.
Well, you're pretty good at symmetry, at least sanding it.
Yeah, I try to be.
I try to.
I was thinking last night watching a little bit of the hangout. I fell asleep, and that's why I watched the rest of it this morning, or most of it. And I was watching Howard go through the whole thing with his Excel program. And it sort of reminds me of the old saying, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I mean, Howard's an engineer, or he has that background. Now, if I had to figure out what Howard did, I'd have to spend a couple months making a bunch of mock-ups and measuring. I wouldn't. He did it the right way in a program, and it's just different. The people with different skills have a way of solving different problems different ways. See if I can keep this in the camera. So since I've got a canopy that has a crazy arc to it here, like here, this trim back here, what I'm going to try to do on this pilot is duplicate some of that into the line of the visor. That looks like I pretty much have it. And I'm gonna go with the really quick, easy way. I'm gonna spray this out of a rattle can, this windscreen.
Blue, black.
Here's what I'm thinking. Silver would be neat. I got this rattle can for $5, and it's like a metallic. It's sort of like a mix between gold and silver. I'm thinking that might look cool for a windscreen against the green. So it's a metallic.
Let me give you a word of advice. It's not high enough contrast. You need high contrast.
And then the other choice, we got flat black. Now we got a lot of choices. What would you put on there?
Well, I don't know what you got there.
Well, the highest contrast would be flat black or black. I've got black.
I would go with the flat black then.
The flat black. What about glossy black?
Yeah, it'd probably work.
I got that. So yeah, that would be pretty cool.
But the green or the green and gold,
It disappears.
enough contrast to see it in the underneath the canopy.
Yeah, it would disappear on me, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know if you're going to tint your canopy, but especially if you tint it.
Yeah. Yeah.
John Jordan, if you're watching, let me know and I'll send you a link. Come in on your phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm on the phone.
Yeah, but you got your GoPro, right?
No, I didn't. I'm not using the GoPro. It's just my phone.
It may not time out then.
Well, what's sort of funny though is when I do the GoPro, I go through a quick app on my phone, which is a GoPro app.
Yeah.
And so it goes through my phone. So we'll see. Now, if I disappear after an hour, don't think I jumped out on you. Just timeout.
Yeah, but you can come right back on. Just click the link and start again.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Of course, I don't know how long we're going to run this. I mean, we don't get any super chats anymore.
So here we go. We'll farm implement gloss black. There you go. Got anybody out there chime in on how to live stream from Muncie, Indiana?
Not yet. We only got 2 comments in there, Gary Sinclair and Steve Berry.
Okay. Now, Steve Berry, is he related to Dingleberry?
No.
I remember you teasing him about that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I was growing up, everybody had fun with my last name.
Ain't nothing weird about your last name. Man, this wood is hard. light, but it's hard.
What is it? What are you doing?
I'm carving my nose block,
Oh,
and I'm using a scoop gouge, you know,
yeah.
and it's hard.
All right. There's a masking tape job on it. I know what this looks like. I sprayed it on my dump trailer to patch up a few spots.
John's building a beam wing airplane next.
John is?
Yeah,
What's it going to be?
I don't know. Whatever. You know, how many weights can you put a wing on?
The other day I tuned in to Walt's Wendy tapes, and I was watching Wendy build an I-beam Spitfire. It's got the spar in it. That was about the time I was too busy with jobs. I was sort of got out of the hobby. It's pretty interesting watching it.
Well, if you go on my channel and watch the Billy Warwick tape, that's the one you want to watch.
Yeah, I've watched that a couple times, 2 or 3 times.
He's the king of beamers.
Yeah. Now, Wendy had a sort of an unorthodox way of doing it. He, if you watch this tape, he's got a carbon fiber spar there, and then he pre-molds the leading edge and the trailing edge because it's got curve in the leading edge. And then he's got a carbon rod behind the carbon spar, and he slides ribs on into the full sheet ribs, the full depth, and he goes back and cuts the center of them out.
Right.
And sort of unorthodox, but it's pretty neat, really. I mean, it was one of those things where when I was a kid flying stunt, I'd watch or I'd look at Al Rabe come out with these scale planes like the P-51 and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd look at that thing and think, man, that's unbelievable. It's so detailed and so fantastic. But I sure as heck didn't want to build it. I think there's no way I can build that thing. I could today, but back as a kid, it's like, wow, it was way over my head. And then I remember asking Jack Sheeks one time, I said, of all the airplanes you've built and you've published in magazines, what was the airplane that sold the most plans? And, you know, I don't know about now, things change, but he said at the time, which was probably in the 90s, he said the Panic. And it sort of reminds you of somebody that's a musician. They write a song in 4 or 5 minutes and it turns into be a #1 hit. So when Jack built the Panic, it was right after he crashed his #1 airplane a week before the Nats, so he didn't have an airplane to fly. So he goes into a panic and he gets foam cores, stab and wing from somebody, maybe Mike Stott at the time. And he builds this airplane in time for the Nats. But it's almost like the 5-minute one-hit wonder.
Yeah, but Jack Sheet built one airplane a month for years.
Oh, I know it. He was the king of fast builds. That's pretty good contrast, isn't it?
That's what are you talking about?
A little
Let me make this big here. Hold on. You have to move it to your left. There we go. Yeah, looks good.
I think what I'll do is I'll take little ink pen, I'll put like little rivets around that black, silver or something.
White.
White on black, yeah, that would be good.
Take a little fine-haired brush and make a white line all the way around that black.
Yeah.
if you got the talent.
I don't know. That remains to be seen. I think I could do it.
32nd of an inch or 64th little, just a 2-hair line. You know
Yeah.
that Continental that Tom built in '69. The pilot had bloodshot eyes. He took a 1-hair paintbrush and painted bloodshot eyes on that pilot.
Yeah, that's some dedication there.
If you go over to his apartment, there'd be paint on the ceiling from boiling dope.
Wow.
You know, everybody thinks, ooh, that's that's an old furniture finisher trick.
Yeah. So you can see, you know, right now I'm sanding this stuff and it's powdering off. Yeah, I was in the automotive store. I was asking for spot putty. So the guy says, "Yeah, we got it." And it was a 3M putty. It was this stuff here.
Acro green.
Yeah, this is the blue. Oh no, yeah, no, this is the green. It's like liquid. It's like liquid lead.
Yep, that's what I use. But you only use it for pinholes. You don't use it for.
Right. So the guy says, "Try this out. This is that Bondo stuff." He said it's a quicker turnaround. He said the guys like it. He said they'll get a car and it's getting ready for the spray booth. And he said they'll find a pinhole or some imperfection and they'll use this spot putty with a MEK polyester spot putty. He said that way they can get right in there. And that's what this is.
I might try some of that.
Like you said, it's you don't lather it on. It's just for like certain little things, but it's pretty neat. The best spray booth I ever saw, and I'm sure there's probably better, but when I was delivering, I was working at UPS Freight, I'd go up there to Park 100, up there where we went to that place, that Richie Lou. Yeah. You got the cabinet stuff. Right around the corner down the street, there's Andretti Racing. And they had the spray booth in there. I'm thinking, man. Of course, it had the vertical lights all around the thing and down air filtration. It was state-of-the-art stuff. And then some of these guys, you know, back in the day, they were putting out show car finishes on dirt floors.
Did you see that airplane on Steiner? It says, "I built this." It's a winder.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It's on the first page. It's got so much clear on it. I bet it's got a half a gallon of clear on it. Looks nice.
Yeah.
But it's a combat plane. I'm thinking, why would you put that much paint on a combat plane? It ain't gonna last but a couple of laps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's some, I'll tell you, when I was a little kid, I don't know, 12, 13 years old, I'd go to a couple contests. And I'd stand there and stare at these airplanes. Of course, the old questions, you know, how fast does it fly? How much does it cost? What's it made out of? And the other one was, okay, if it's made out of balsa wood, how do you make it look like plate glass, you know? To me, it was just like magic, you know? And I know there's there's RC pattern, and there's different events where they have some beautiful airplanes that finishes, but I'd say overall, some of the best finishes and the most unique stuff is right here in control line.
Oh yeah.
And when you watch the Nats, you'll see some of the people are pretty serious about building from pylon or other areas. They'd always come over and check these control line planes out. You know, talk about time. I could cut a foam wing out, glue the sheeting together, put the sheeting on the wing, put it in the bag, pull it out, sand it. By the time I'd get this canopy built, the pilot in there in the cockpit. So I'll give you guys a little backstory to this pilot. Sparky's on me. He said, you know, you need to get that plane ready. I said, yeah, I know, but I need a pilot for it. I can't put canopy on until I get the pilot. So Sparky's thinking, well, okay, stick a pilot in it, right? So what I do, I go get some tooling board. And this is like a week project here. So I get some tooling board here and I cut this thing out. This is the second one I made. So this is the master to the mold. So once I get this tooling board cut out and all sanded, then I wax it. And then I make this thing right here. That's the parting board. So the first one of these molds I made, I tried something different. I tried a different release agent. And I put the release agent on this. It wasn't wax and PVA. Some kind of liquid release. And then I make half the mold like this. I make this this pilot plug helmet goes in the parting board. And once it's in the parting board, then you form this part of the mold. And then you take this off the parting board, you leave the plug in it. And then you take more resin and more tooling dough and glass, and then you form this. Okay, so normally once you get to this stage with PVA, you just take a little knife and you go between and you sort of go like that and you pop it and you hear some cracking and then all of a sudden you open it up and then you got a beautiful part. So I take a razor and I put in there and nothing's moving, nothing's cracking. So I go get a chisel or something and a hammer and I start tapping. I keep working. I don't hear anything. Nothing's moving. So long story short, I take this thing, set it on the concrete floor, get a sledgehammer and whack it. So finally it busts open. So I ruin my mold and I ruin my plug. So I make another one of these. And then I do something different again for an experiment. I can't get the part out. So I sort of whack it a little bit and I ruin the mold, but the plug's all right. So it took me 3 iterations to make this mold. And I finally got it to where, you know, it worked. I went right back to wax and PVA. So thank God I didn't experiment on a huge part. So once you get the mold, then I was making these things. I don't know. It's pretty drapable. It's real fine weave. It's 2-ounce cloth or something. And then I'd make a part with this or something. Then I'd take some scrap.
Hold on.
Make this.
Yep.
That must be John.
No, that wasn't John. That was my motorcycle club brother wanting to know if I wanted to do something. Gotta hold off till 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Just tell them you don't come out of the house until it's 70 degrees.
Yeah. They know that.
My son used to ride around with his buddies and stuff. It'd be 70 degrees. He said, that's too cold to get on a bike. I said, what do you mean? He said, no, you don't understand. You get on a bike, it's got to be 80 or 90, according to him.
I rode my bike to work one time when the weather was it was the low 40s, like 41, 42. Get up on the freeway, it's sub-zero.
Yeah.
I did it once. I was frozen by the time I got to work.
Did it once. Yeah, we used to say, I did a roof when I was 30 years old. Me and a buddy from work, we got up there and stripped 22 squares of roofing, put it on. It was like 95 degrees and all that. So I always tell people, I said, I've done roofing twice. I said it was the first time and the last time. I said, after I put my own roof on, I thought, I'll never do that again. Not that I can't do it. Yeah, I like the idea of actually printing the dashboard out.
You can get them in color.
Yeah.
That way you got all the buttons and all the gauges, everything right on.
Yeah, it's coming along.
If you got any paper, that's best.
Yeah. Here's a little tip on tooling board. If you ever want to make a parting board and you want to make it permanent, a lot of times you just take modeling clay and put in there. What you can do is take Bondo and smear it around, as long as you've got release on this, like PVA or something. So when you smear this Bondo around, that way you don't have to re-clay it every time you stick it in there. So you can just take this, stick it in your parting board, you know, get it in there seated, and then you're good to go. Because this fillet inside here is permanent.
Now that's for making the mold. That's not for doing the glass, right?
Correct. That's just to make the mold.
Yeah,
so, but this turned out to be a week and a half project. So that's the trouble with me. I can get down these rabbit holes really quick. See, John and I are sort of along the same lines. We can drive Sparky nuts.
Yeah.
I told John, I said, don't give up on that fuel tank. I said, I got a couple ideas. I'll swing over there someday. We'll eat lunch and we'll work on a fuel tank.
Fuel tank for what?
You know that he was trying to make that carbon fiber tank or fiberglass tank, you know.
Oh, I got the molds. Now, I mean, I got windy molds. They're 4 molds.
I was watching a video and they were making carbon fiber tubes. And what they were doing is, against the mandrel, they put a little plastic in there, wrap it. The trouble John was having was trying to get the thing to release from the mandrel. And I know that having a really hot mandrel, cooking it, when it shrinks, it should release if you have release agent on it. But I don't think he was getting it hot enough. I think it had to go up around 350. And I don't think he was able to get to that temperature.
His wife will kill him for baking shit in the oven at 350.
Well, remember that oven when he remodeled his kitchen? He put the oven in the garage, the old one.
Yeah, he don't want to wire the garage for 220. But I think he's gonna have to. He's got a TIG welder now.
Is that on 220?
TIG welder? Oh yeah.
Well, heck, just make it to where you can unplug it.
Right.
Just unplug. Yeah, unplug the TIG and then plug your oven into it. I told him, I said, if you ever want to get some welding advice from a modeler, I said, Steve Starr, I said, he's been there, done that. So give Steve a call. He can give you advice on it. Steve lives probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes down the road from me. He's into fishing. He likes to go up and down these creeks. Likes to fish for these creek bass, creek carp, creek carps and stuff. Now, believe it or not, Sparky, when we were into this carpentry thing, and it was like paint grade cabinets and trim and stuff, every once in a while we'd have to get this Bondo out. So I still use this stuff in the house on carpentry jobs, patching up certain things.
Well, I cut my 2.3 ounce block down to 1.1 or 1. Let me see here. How many grams? It's 28, so it's 1 ounce.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, I got to go some more. I need to get a half ounce up more off of this.
Do you still use those cuts-all bits?
Oh, yeah.
I was in Woodcraft the other day, and I don't know, I think I just went in there to look around, and I was looking at those bits with an 1/8 inch shaft.
28 bucks.
Huh?
28 bucks.
Yeah, the big ones. The smaller ones were like 15. Bigger ones are, yeah, 28. I thought, man, I'd like to get 4 or 5 of these. But I thought, you know what? I don't feel like dropping a couple $100.
It's hard to go in that store without spending some money.
As soon as my truck leaves the driveway, it's like a $100 bill. It doesn't matter where I go.
That's exactly right.
Here's a little tip here. Some of these guys, I don't know, everybody's got their own way of doing this. I take this styrofoam, this insulation board they sell at big box stores, you know, and I was making plugs for composite parts and stuff out of this. And I took the hot wire and I just started slicing up oddball shapes. So I cut out little wedges of that styrofoam. And from there, I take my sanding block here, and then I'll sand the, you know, make sure the surfaces and everything are all flat and smooth. And then I take 3M77, spray it down for an adhesive, or you could use self-contact stuff, but this is 320. This is that automotive stuff. Anyway, make a little sanding block with a wedge on it. So when I start sanding, like down here in these corners, like back here by the flap, you know, I can sort of work this wedge in the smaller spots. And I'll take this paper towel, just leave it on the roll, and I'll rake the paper down the towel, which unloads the paper. And then I'll clean the surface off with the paper towel. And then I block sand it. Now you can't do this with an I-beam, obviously, but on fuselages or you know, when you get these flat surfaces. Now I even block sand a lot of these turtle decks. So instead of doing this back and forth, I try to go at an angle. As you push forward, you rotate. Same thing Sparky was doing on his wingtips. It's so you're not sanding a flat spot in it, and that helps. These things are nice, so I try to make a lot of custom sanding blocks. This stuff is good. It's just an aluminum tube, and then I put the sticky paper on it. I got this might be 80 grit for hogging down blocks, and this might, I think it's 220 here. Well, that comes in handy. So we're already hardening up here. So I'll get a nice dish fillet in there. Now, when this canopy goes on, I'm going to have a glue joint, probably 1/8 of an inch all the way around this thing. And then there'll be that super fill for a fillet. And then what I like to do, all this ugly part with a glue joint is, I like to mask it off into the plastic to where I bring the paint right over the plastic and over the super fill and where I flared it. And if I've got a little bump and the plastic sticking up, like right here, I'll sand the bump right out of the plastic if it's super small. Blend it all in, bring the paint over on top of the plastic. And then if this is scratched up or whatever, I'll wet sand the canopy with 1,000. And then when it comes time to spray clear, the clear will go over the airplane and the canopy, everything.
Here's a pro tip, Dan. Make sure that you paint the inside of your canopy, up about 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
Hide the glue.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Otherwise, it depends on the, yeah, you can sometimes see down in there.
You can see the glue right through the canopy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Might take some flash off this gear. This is the one I made the other day. I think I made this on Sparky's channel. Can't remember. Can't even remember what day it is, not alone.
Yeah, this is Thursday at Dan's.
Yeah, or Sunday. Howard Rush, he has post-it notes all over his cabinet. Somebody made a comment who was sort of chuckling about it. He said, yeah, they've been up over a year now.
Who said that?
I don't know. One of the guys chimed in. It wasn't last night. It was last week. Because Howard, if you look in his office, he's got post-it notes on all his cabinet doors. And I told my wife, Julie, I said, I need a post-it note out in the garage so I can remember what day it is. So, yeah, I got to get this thing finished because Sparky doesn't believe I can paint an airplane. So I gotta let him know that I can paint.
That. I just said that you ain't working. Difference between can't do it and not doing.
Yeah, I can. There's a difference. I got to get going on it. Let's see. I'm going to do something real quick, and then I'm going to get back on this. I'm going to let this dry a little bit.
I'm going to call Steve and see if we can make his appointment for tomorrow because I'm spread too thin. I got this going on, dog calling, and Marty calling.
What are you talking about, appointment?
Dan, well, Steve comes over here to work on his airplane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, airplane, Steve, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve Smith. Everybody wants something. I got 4,500 guys on the forum, and I got to do these streams, and all these obligations. It's too too much.
That's all right. You can handle it. I remember when I was selling parts, the phone was ringing all the time. And that's the other thing a lot of people don't realize that, if you're selling horns and bell cranks or wings or, people don't realize how much time you'll spend talking about stuff on the phone, which is fun. But, and Sparky, you probably noticed this, but when I get busy on something, I sort of disappear. You'll call me up.
You wouldn't say that.
You'll call up and leave a message, say, what happened? Did you fall off the face of the earth? So, I mean.
Yeah, but I'll show up. Ask your wife.
Yeah, come hunt me down. But when I worked at UPS, the dispatchers would say, hey, I need to hear from you a little bit more during the day. I said, what are you going to do for me? They said, well, we need to. No, it wasn't UPS. It was a company before that. They said, well, we need to contact you every 15 minutes. What's going on out there? I said, okay.
Good luck.
Well, I started calling them every 15 minutes. And I'd say, well, I'm waiting to get into the dock. And I call them back, and 15 minutes later, I said, well, they refused this freight. They don't want it. And then I call them back 15 minutes later. I was about ready to leave. And I said, well, they come running out of the building. They changed their mind, and they want me to go over to the storage unit and deliver it over there. Is that all right? And after about 3 or 4 calls, they finally said, okay, I'm turning you over to somebody else. He said, I don't even want to mess with you anymore.
I only had one load like that they wanted me to check in every hour. You know what that load was for?
What was it, the baby wipes or something?
No. I hauled $1 million Sears loads. I hauled, I don't know how many $100,000 of Jack Daniels and from Tennessee. They didn't have no problem with those loads. They had a problem with $30,000 of aluminum cans.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. All right, here's this mold, Sparky. This thing here, this is the RC gear. Let's see if this thing come out all right. This is the brand new mold. First time I molded out of this thing. See if I stuck it. We got a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So, yeah, it come out good. I'm always sort of hesitant on a green mold, the first few times. And I post cured this thing in there about 100 degrees for a couple days just to get it to where it's a little bit harder. You remember that fuselage I brought to you and John's? It was gray fiberglass and styrofoam.
Yeah.
That's what this landing gear is going to go on. It's that RC Fun Fly plane. So it's just for probably people around here, local guys in the club. So I sort of guessed on this resin and wasn't sure how much to put in there. This thing came out nice. I got lucky on this. Now what I did here, Sparky, is when I made this gear, I put carbon fiber fabric out here, and I sandwiched that in there. So that'll give a little bit of split resistance. But you can see on this thing, it's got a real tall stance on it. So yeah, that come out good. Every once in a while I get lucky. Oh, I think my airplane's ready to be sanded now. You got anybody chiming in with any advice on streaming from Muncie?
No questions, no answers, nope, just the normal stuff.
You got anybody in the chat room?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's 10 people watching.
I'll tell you what, come Saturday morning when it starts to get really nice out, the viewership probably drop off because they'll all be out cutting grass and doing stuff.
We had a good thing going there Saturday at John's. I pulled in a lot of views from that.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing, Sparky. You were doing it long enough. So the first Saturday at John's probably wasn't that many the first time. And then the second, third, and after a while, everybody gets used to seeing you. And it was like every week. So they knew it was going to happen. So, you know, it's like the hangout with Charles Monday and Friday. It's the same time every week. So that way everybody knows about it. And then when you change things up, it takes a while for people to get back on track. So a lot of it has to do with consistency, communication and consistency.
Well, let's see what it weighs now. Yeah, we're going down quite a bit. Down to 24 grams. So it was 28, 2.3. Half a gram. Oh, Steve said sure. He let me up on that. That's good. Okay. 28.33 divided by 10. So it'd be 10. 2.8 grams times 3 times 3. That's 8 grams. And 28.33 times 2 equals plus 8. This thing started out at 64.66 grams. And it's now down to 24. So I've knocked 40 grams off it so far.
You mean by carving everything out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge savings.
I've just made a canoe, basically. You know, when I carve these blocks, I sand them all the way down to like 320 or whatever inside.
Yeah.
And I've seen blocks that have not been carved. I know somebody had crashed an airplane.
Yeah.
There'll be a block that was not even touched. Then you'll see guys that kind of half-ass touched them with all kind of narcs inside them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's an eye opener. I mean, everybody's got a little bit of different style, you know. Now, I guess 320 would be good. If you go to 600 on the inside, it's probably wasting your time. I can see 320. This stuff right here This is 180 to sand this Bondo. The other thing people don't realize, it's not only the grit, it's the surface area of the grit. And to give you an example, I'll show you something. When I'd sand wing skins out, like for sheeting or center seating or whatever, you know, where you edge glue it, this pad, let's see, what size was it? It's
5 by 10.
yeah, it's 1/4 inch thick aluminum. It's 5 inches by 12.5, so 5 by 12.5. And this is 100 grit. And I used to go into Lowe's, and they don't sell it anymore, but I'm sure you can still buy it. This was sandpaper they sold for floor sanders, for belt sanders that would sand the wooden floors down. And I made one of these for Brick House once, because basically I took this metal plate and I lapped it to where it was perfectly flat. And then I eased the corner a little bit, you know, so it didn't dig in. It took a while to lap it, but anyway, 100 grit normally would be too rough to sand a wing skin, but when you spread it out over this big area and you just keep working it over the skin, I mean, this was perfect. And you could go at 45, you know, and it's pretty aggressive. And then the last few strokes of it, you go with the grain. So it has a lot to do with the surface area. And another thing I'd like to do, I mean, I do, since we're on this sanding thing, when I'm out in the driveway making cabinets or something or whatever, I take some scrap 1/4 inch that we use for backing or drawer bottoms or whatever, and I start slicing these little shapes up.
Got to hold it to your left more.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not really sure what's in here. Let me scoot my camera over. Okay. So I take this, and this is like a 45-degree angle. I'll take this on the chop saw or whatever and get these angles. And what this allows me to do is get up, let's say I wrap sandpaper, it allows me to get up in these spots like right here. And the more angles and stuff you can get on it, the better.
You know what I make those out of?
What?
RC wood, balsa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Whatever you got, I mean, so, yeah, some of them are just squared off with 45s or 30s on them or whatever, you know, just yeah, I've got all kinds of sanding blocks. This was the sandpaper I was talking about. Resin floor surfacing paper type E. And that's 100 grit.
You could roll that on a drum sander.
Oh yeah, that's what it's made for. The drum sanders for the flooring.
Okay.
And yeah, this is I think this is the width it comes in right here. This was the width. And you could just buy it. Heck, they had like 100 feet on a huge roll or something. And I bought a whole bunch, and I mean, I'm still not out of it.
I wish that place that we bought all that box cases of sandpaper would have had that.
Oh yeah, I need to. It's been a while since I've been up there. I need to keep going up there because they always have something new they're getting rid of. And when I remodel my bathroom, I started to use those sinks I bought. I bought a cast sink. It was $50, and the retail on them was, I think they're 350 or 400.
Something's wrong with your mic. I don't know what's happening with it. Are you leaning on it? There, it's better.
Yeah. Let me see. It might be covered up. Is that better?
No, it sounds like you're underwater.
How does it sound now when I talk into it?
Better?
Okay. It might be one of these things, Sparky, where I get too far away.
No, that's not it. There's something covering it.
Maybe it's both of those.
That's worse. That's right there.
Well, if I get that ADD out here, and then I'll get.
You're back underwater again.
Let me see here.
That's good right there. Blow out the mic. I think there's probably dirt in it or something. You still there?
Yeah, does that sound any better?
Sounds better, but the camera's the wrong way. There you go.
These phones are good, but they're a little glitchy.
Yeah.
One of the things I hate about doing stuff like this, it's all ad lib. There's no measuring, there's no planning. You're just sticking stuff in here and carving, and
I like that.
yeah. In some ways, less rigidity.
Well, I'm going to spin up my cuts all right now, so I'm going to mute my microphone so you do all the talking.
Okay.
I'll go back to split screen.
I won't say anything bad as soon as you start carving. I won't. I'll be nice to you.
Down to 22 grams. Okay, Eric, take it away.
All right. You're just tuning in. This polyester stuff is what I'm using. Called premium polyester filler. It's like spot putty, but it cures super fast. Thought about painting the inside of this Canopy flat black. And then I thought how hot it would get. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do as far as paint goes. Normally I don't sand a lot with my fingertips, but in this case it works out perfect.
You know what Bob Giske says about carving?
What's he say about it?
You don't go through at least one place if you ain't carving it thin enough.
I believe it because I've seen his stuff. Yeah, he put out some light airplanes.
24. 24. Oh shit, I got a ways to go here on this.
I thought about weighing this thing before we started streaming, then I thought, you know what? I put my scale away. I don't feel like digging it out, but I'll give you an update here in a week. One of the things.
Embarrassed, huh?
Huh?
You don't want to be embarrassed.
No, not on a live stream. I'll call you on the phone when nobody's listening.
Yeah.
I'll give you the update. Hey, this primer is a 2-part primer on this airplane. So the holdout is like excellent. I just hope the dope sticks to it well enough. Normally with a regular primer, you've got back in the day when they had DuPont 38 OS with the primer or whatever you use. When you put the lacquer or dope over the top, it melted into it. Or you could use like Velvet Seal, which was an adhesion promoter.
3608S is not a very hot thinner.
Say what?
It's not really a hot thinner.
3608.
Yeah. The S stands for slow, but it doesn't dry slow enough to not trap moisture. That's why your clear looks foggy when you use it.
Yeah. You know, this plane's been sitting around long enough that when it finally comes time for the color, I just hope I don't get any big surprises. All right, see how this looks. Yeah, I think the black looks good, the contrast.
It's beautiful.
Yep. Yeah, thanks for the Martian green. Yeah, Sparky gave me the green for that helmet. And here's what I painted the helmet with. This stuff here.
July, a lime green.
Yeah.
Lime green metallic.
Yeah, candy lime green. It's TS52. And
that little can's $15. Probably
yeah.
more now.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
What a ripoff.
But you know what? you know, if you're just doing little stuff, I mean, this little can will do, I don't know, more of these
100
canopies.
helmets.
Yeah. So, but I like it. I mean, it's got a look that no other color had. It's like a Martian metallic. I don't know how to describe it, but it's what I was looking for. So,
The same color green I paint my canopies.
okay. That's what you use on yours?
Well, it's the same color, but it's Brookins mixed it up for me. I use Bill.
Okay.
If you watch, I did a video on mixing, custom colors or whatever. I did that magenta or purple or whatever, pink. And I just mixed it myself. I bought the pigment and mixed it into the non-talking dope.
Yeah.
Made that color.
So what do you think I need to paint the inside of the canopy? Right
Black.
here.
The floor, black.
More black?
Yeah.
What do you think about setting it in the sun? You think it'll get too hot?
No, or olive drab.
Yeah. Here's one. I didn't know how that would look with, can you still see it?
See what? I see the canopy area.
Okay. My phone screen shut off. Here it is. It's Rust-Oleum. It's just satin green, like an olive drab.
Yeah, that'll work.
I don't think it would look as good as black next to the canopy, though. Or it wouldn't look as good as black next to the helmet, is what I meant to say.
How about zinc chromate?
I've got some of that, but it's over my kid's house because he was painting some models with it. He came over and got all my model paints. My daughter's got half my camera gear, and my son's got a lot of my paints. I'm thinking of maybe like a battleship gray inside that canopy.
Well, it looks like all I'm going to get this down to is 22 grams.
That'll be all right.
Now it's 20 grams. I started out at 60. Let's see, 28.33. Oh, shoot. There. All right, I got to do this mode. It started out at 64.66 grams. It's now down to 7/10 or 22 grams. So 42 grams I got off of it.
That's pretty good.
I just don't think I'm going to be able to get any more of it.
Yeah, you can only get so much once you start getting down into the air. Hey, on these fillets, I take some of this phenolic board and I do 3 different radiuses, like a tight, medium, and a bigger radius. Use this for the tail.
I got the Jim Lee ball bearing fillet radius tools, but I find that my finger works just as good.
Well, here's the thing with me and fillets. I mean, I always end up sanding them anyway. Basically, the fillet tool isn't the final radius, the actual sanding is. So the sanding roughs up the surface and makes it all perfectly uniform. So here's the old super fill. And
That the stuff I gave you?
yeah, it's still going. Yeah, still good.
That's old stuff. That's 5 years old.
Yeah, it don't bother me. I'll mix it up on this gram scale.
If it gets too stiff, just put it in the microwave for 2 seconds.
Yeah, I stir it up a little bit. So it's 2 to 1. It's 2 blue to 1 beige.
Correct.
So I like to be pretty accurate. So I weigh it out.
Yeah, okay.
Huh?
Okay.
That's the way to do it. So I'm going to go 14 grams, or I'm going to go 4 grams. So I'll go 4 grams and then 2. But it's sort of sticky enough, you know, you can handle it with your fingers, not for too long. And don't stick the same screwdriver in there as you used on the first one. Now the yellow stuff, Sparky, is the stuff that separates. It's got the curing agent in it.
Yeah, at the bottom, it's ammonia. It smells like.
Yeah, you can smell it from here, can't you?
Yeah, doesn't it smell like cat piss?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I wonder if you could use cat piss. Cure it. That'd be funny.
Well, it's just like polyester resin. Most people don't know. You know, they want to buy a little tube for $4 of, you know, hardener for resin when you can buy a quart of MEK for 15 and a half, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. It used to be West Side Hobbies back in the 80s, 90s. Dale Haley's the one that owned it. He used to sell fuel. He mixed up his own fuel. And the fuel was called TCP. And finally, one day I asked Dale, I said, hey, what's a TCP stand for? He said, Tomcat piss. I said, there you go. I said, give me a gallon of your Tomcat. Yeah. We got a roll of paper towels around here somewhere. I'm like you, Sparky. I can stand in the same spot for an hour and then all of a sudden lose something and never move from the spot. Clean my scale off a little bit.
It gets aggravating.
Oh, yeah. Now there's a little nick down at the tail here. I'm going to use some of this putty on too. One of my cats come out here and nibbled on the tail. Yeah, that was when he's a kitten. Had a couple stray cats I took in. They don't bother anything now. They're good cats. If they jump up on the bench or something, they don't bother anything. They're really careful when they walk around. They don't knock anything off. Some cats like to knock stuff off tables. These are good cats. So some people, they like to actually tape off their fillets, you know. I've got sort of a different method. I sort of let the fillet go where it wants, and I don't worry about the epoxy getting outside of the fillet area. I'll show you in a second how I deal with that. See if I'm still on camera here. Move this thing over.
There you go, right there.
I just rub it on there. And when it comes time to clean it off, you can see where the glue, the resin sort of smears out farther than the fillet. And that's something I want. And what that does is if you sand a little bit past the fillet, that little bit of glue sort of hardens up, and it keeps you from digging into the actual finish. And then I'll go through there with a razor if I get it on something I don't want it on that control horn.
Yeah, I'm the tape up kind of guy.
Are you?
Yep.
Okay, I'll show you how I do it. I don't know, there's no right or wrong, but this is, so I'll use the small. Another thing, a guy drywalling will tell you, it's the angle of your spatula. If you run that spatula at 90, what happens is you end up pulling a lot of material out of the joint. If you lay the spatula over, it may be 30, 40 degrees. What happens is it's a lot smoother finish.
Got her down to 18.
That's good. What are you shooting for?
7. That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. So
But
you can't.
I play this little game as I sand this stuff, you know, weigh it and see if I can get a gram off and then weigh it again.
Yeah.
Kind of like a paint job. It's never finished, just abandoned.
Isn't that the truth? And that's the way, you know, when we were doing finished carpentry in these houses, basically it was the same thing. You'd sit there and the painters would come in and you keep fitting and fiddling and messing. And finally they come in and say, okay, we've done enough. Let's get out of here, you know? So when I scrape this, I scrape it all the way down to where it's a nice fillet. And then what I like to do, I'll take one of these razor blades that's dull. I'll take the edge here, it's been sanded, and I just take maybe
Uh-oh, Danny dropped. He'll be back. I figure if I can get this down, I'd like to have it at 7. Epoxy on a canopy. Always epoxy the canopies on. I do, anyway. This thing started out at 66 grams. I'd like to have it at 7, but if I can get it down to 15, that's good enough. We got it pretty much gunboated out, you know. And I got this tool here. It tells you how thick it is. We're about an 1/8 of an inch thick. You don't want to get it down. You know, you can go down to 3/32, but you don't want to go much more than that because you got to hold this thing up here on the nose. Of course, it'll be glass, but we'll get this glued on, and then hopefully Danny comes back. See, I think his phone is, unless it's plugged in, losing a charge or getting hot or whatever. Well, I think I'm going to abandon it. I think, let's see, we got it at 15. $18, 3 grams. Where am I going to get 3 grams on this? Oh, there's Dan. Okay, let's get him back. Yeah, you dropped. You dropped, Danny, but now you're back. Can you hear us? Got no sound on. Well, I can hear you scraping. Can you hear us, Dan? Can you hear me? Testing. I don't think he can hear. Let's boot him out, and I'll call. Well, let me just call him. Can you hear us?
Hey, pardon?
We can't. I've been asking you. Can you hear us on the stream?
Off and I got back on.
I know.
Sure the mic works or not.
Yeah, the mic is working, but you can't hear us. So why don't you get out and try to rejoin?
Okay.
Okay. Bye. Okay, I booted him. Isn't technology wonderful? I need 3 grams out of this. There he is. All right, can you hear us?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of yelling at you.
Yeah, I couldn't hear. I thought something was up. I thought, well, maybe he's just not talking. But basically, what you're seeing here, when I squeegee this thing, I've got excess on each side of the fillet that I scrape. What I do is I just go along with this razor like this, and I just peel that away. And that gives me the, and it leaves a residue of glue there. And that's what I want. That keeps me from sanding into the finish. It gives me a harder surface next to the fillet. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm trying to work on this thing with the Dremel.
Oh, okay, I got you. Go ahead.
Well, I think the best I'm going to be able to do is 18 grams. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. 18 grams.
Yeah. Yep. 18 is the best I'm going to be able to do. Screw it.
Yeah, it's just like the paint job. You just have to know when to abandon it.
Now, I can't put this on until I get the push rod in it. What are we looking at there? The nose.
Yeah, I'm gonna move some stuff around. I think I got enough super fill to maybe get this fuselage up here done. Put some super fill up here. I think I'm gonna go with the same size fillet. I think I'm gonna go with the small. Hmm.
And I'm glad I thought about that push rod. If I was getting ready to glue this on, but without a push rod in it, I would never be able to get that in there with this glued
Yep.
on.
Yeah, it's amazing how many times you can box yourself into a corner. Just not thinking ahead. You get in a hurry doing something. Just about all the mistakes I've made, it's because I was trying to do something too fast. I worked with this guy in trim carpentry, and this guy was super talented. I mean, he was good. And then he just started to screw up a lot. And the difference was I was watching him and he tried to go really fast. He didn't think things through. He'd come in and get in a hurry. And there was a guy doing stairs, and I don't care what was going on. This stair guy had one speed. And I've never seen anybody kick out joints and beautiful stuff like this guy did. Everything was absolutely perfect. And he had one speed. Every day you do the same amount, and it was very methodical. And then the guy that was got in a hurry, he knew better, started screwing up. And I'm talking a whole room of paneling that didn't have certain cutouts in it, 3/4 inch. And the stair guy comes in and said, "Hey," he sort of read him the riot act, sort of politely. He said, "I'll tell you right now," you said, "you're getting in too big a hurry." And he sort of knew it. Another thing the stair guy would do he'd make a mistake that absolutely nobody noticed. It was so minute, and he just beat himself up over it. And I said, you know, nobody's going to notice that. He said, yeah, but I notice it. He said, the trouble is, if you accept something that's not perfect, according to him, and then he said, it's real easy to start going down that slope of, okay, I
Close
let
enough.
that, yeah, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. So he had standards. So I don't know if you could see what I did, but basically I took this razor and cleaned all the excess off. Now there's a little bump here, and I have to probably do touch up here and there on this stuff. But that's how I do the fillets.
It always takes me twice to do fillets. You know, one to fill and then one go back and
Yeah,
pick the spots that aren't perfect.
yeah. And then sometimes, you know, if you got it thick enough, it's no big deal. You just go ahead and, you know, you can sand it in. And if you have room to sand it. But
Well, I think my airframe is going to be 24 ounces finished.
yeah,
So
is
this
that about right?
if you think about it like this, there's 20 ounces of hardware: tank, engine, prop, wheels, that shit. So you got 24 ounces of airframe, and you got 20 ounces of engine. That's 44, and 6 ounces of paint is 50 ounces. I'm not going to be able to hit that 40-ounce mark.
Yeah,
But it sure was surprising to me to know that Simply Blues was an ounce less than the model I used my best wood on. Plus, it got an extra core to clear. Now the airplanes weigh the same amount.
okay.
They're 52 ounces each.
Okay.
Do I think 2 ounces is going to matter? Not really.
I know it wouldn't matter to me. Wouldn't bother me any. You know me. I'll put this thing on the Byron Barker spray stand. I'll keep adding clear till it starts to bend.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe not quite that bad, but
If you ever get a chance and you see Billy with his Thunderbolt, pick that up sometime.
yeah. You told me about that.
It's 53 ounces.
And that's like unobtainium stuff there. It's like, okay,
I built 6 of them. The closest I'm going to be able to come is 65.
that still bugs you to this day, doesn't it?
Yes, I built that Razorback, and it's going to be 65 ounces.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I think about where I gave up the weight. I gave up the weight for a bigger fuel tank, PA 75, a bigger prop, not as good wood. You know, it's just not there.
yeah. I think Billy was going into the hardware to save a lot of weight too.
Oh yeah, you got to leave shit off of it.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people don't realize how good some of these people are till they try to duplicate what they did. And it's like me flying, you know. I'd watch these guys fly like the top flyers, and I'd start flying, trying to get better. I only had so much time I could devote to it at the time with family, but it became an eye opener to me how hard you have to work. It looks so easy till you have to do it. And yeah, it was an eye opener. Now, some people don't like this feather, Phil.
I'll go back to epoxylite then.
No, I said some people don't like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Now, epoxylite, from day one, I never liked it. It was sort of hard for me to get that stuff to work. This stuff here sands like butter, really, to me. Get the right grit on it.
Sounds just like balsa wood.
Yeah. So, and if you get your fillet down and you scrape the excess off from your squeegee, then to me that's the way I like to do it.
I've got plastic razor blades.
Yeah, those are probably really good. These things are good because you got to dull them. If you take one of these razor blades and you don't actually sand the edge of them, you got to sand them down with 320 or 600. They'll dig into your finish. So just take some of these that are used and put a nice little radius on them. Get the edge off. They make really good spatulas or scrapers.
Let's see what
Try to
this
get as much off as I can.
Now this stab is not as light as the other one because it's sheeted, but it'll finish better. 2.5 ounces. The other one was 2.1 ounces. So it's 2.7. It's let's see. This is 2.5, I think.
That's with the horn.
Yeah. This is 2.5. So 2.5. And the other one was the open bay one. Better check my Amazon here. Orders. My orders. Between 1 and 5 p.m. it says.
Do you have any trouble out there with porch pirates?
You bet.
So here's the stab. Hey Sparky, here's the stab I made. This is for my next airplane.
Yeah, what is it? 8 ounces?
No. Okay, now you got to remember this wood here is hobby shop wood. This is a 1/32, I think. But anyway, it's just like 6, 8, 9 pound wood. So the span on this thing is let's see what it is. 18, 20, 26-inch span. So the elevators are even longer because the elevators have got to be trimmed down and I got to put tips on them. So this is just the blanks, you know. So here's the elevators and the stab, and a little bit more sanding horn let's see, the horn I had for it. Let's see here. It's a 3/32 wire. It's like a barrel full of monkeys trying to get it out. This was the horn. It's in the little slider.
6 pounds of hardware on there.
No. See, I got the plywood clips here. I got the ingrain plywood clips. Look at it, fits in there like a glove. Little clip. It's okay. 2 halves. How much you think this weighs?
I don't know. Anything over 3 is too much.
Anything over 3 ounces?
Yeah.
Okay. This right here, 71 grams. Little over 2 ounces.
Okay.
71 grams. What's that work out in ounces?
2.5 ounces.
Okay. That's not bad for me then, is it? Now you got to remember.
It's smaller than what we run, but
Well, not much. We got to remember now, that's not special wood. That's just your, that's out of the hobby shop.
what's the span on it? 25 inches?
Well, I got to cut the elevators down. Let me see here. See. Should be 1, 2, 24, 26.25 inches.
So that'd be over 3 ounces at 30 inches. That other open bay elevator stabilizer that I built for the other 2 creepers weighed 2.15 ounces.
Yeah, that's pretty good weight there.
This one here is 2.5, but it's a sheeted. It's built up sheeted.
Yeah. You got to remember that right there is just, it's epoxy and styrofoam and vacuum bagged. It's sheeted. It's old. That's old school. So that's not bad weight for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it'll work. But when you're building light, you got to think add a gram here, add a gram there, add a gram here and there, and pretty soon it's an ounce, and it's impossible to get that ounce off anywhere.
Yeah, because
And then your biggest mistake that I know of is in the paint. You only got 1 quart of dope to paint that airplane with if you want to do a 6-ounce finish.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that's my downfall, the paint. I'm going to admit that. Now, see this Blue Max, this airplane, that sucker is box stock plans. It's a big airplane. It's got some square inches on it.
It only has a 10-inch cord.
Well, let me see. I know the cord's not much. The cord on it, yeah, a little over 10 at the root. But it's got a lot of span to it.
60?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to measure it. It is pretty much by the plan. Yeah, it's just a Blue Max. I put a pretty good tip on it. 62.25.
62.25 by 12.5. I'll just 62.25 times 12.5. 700 squares, 730, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 700 squares. That would have been my guess.
80 ounces.
I'll tell you what. If I can get this at 65 ounces or under, you're buying me a steak dinner, right?
Oh, yeah. I owe you one anyway.
uh, I was teasing John one day. We were over there. I said, you weren't around. I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do to Sparky. He's going to say, I can't get this thing under a certain weight. And I'm going to make him buy me a steak dinner. And I said, I'm going to show up with no paint on this thing with a clear on it. I said, just to get a steak dinner out of him. He was laughing.
John is now a believer in my paint system.
Oh yeah, I believe in it. You know, I know where I'm coming up short.
You break out that gallon of dope or gallon of urethane, you start dipping in that thing and keep painting until you're satisfied, and it's 80 ounces.
Oh, I know it. I know where my downfall is. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. I admit it.
It takes 4 times as much sanding to do a 6-ounce finish as it does to do a 70-ounce finish.
Yeah. And really, you know, the guys that are knocking these things out of the ballpark on finishes, maybe like Hunt and Warwidge and Fancher and Fitzgerald, and you get into these top flyers, and they're pretty much checking all the boxes, you know.
Well, Walker and Fancher and Buck and all those guys, and even Steve, those airplanes are not lightweight. There's only like 2 guys that are lightweights on the West Coast besides me, or East Coast besides me, are Hunt and Warwick.
Yeah. Well, this looks like progress, doesn't it, Sparky? I got fillets on it. I got the canopy or the cockpit ready for some paint and detail. I'll have this thing flying in a month.
John Suklak wants to know what you're going to glue the canopy on with.
Epoxy.
Yep.
Probably like a 30-minute epoxy. I'll go through there and sand the edge of it and rough it up like a 16th, and I'll put some little pinholes in it. Then I'll epoxy it down. That's what I've done with the ones I've had before epoxy.
And if you guys want to see that procedure, just go on my channel and search for Monado canopy install. I've shown that 1,000 times, that exact same way with pinholes and epoxy.
Yeah, that's I think we're on the same page there. You know, that's the way to do it. You know, and of course up here, you know, you get a nice fillet around there. That helps hold it down. You know, you get some overlap. You don't get any overlap here. It's just all underneath. But
if you don't stipple the canopy with a T-pin or a minute micro drill bit or whatever,
yeah,
and get about a 1/16 of an inch off the bottom of that, holes about every 1/4 inch, the canopy will crack off the fuselage.
Yeah.
And if you got a knucklehead that picks your airplane up by the canopy, which I have seen,
Right here.
Yeah, it will come right off.
Yeah. One of the things I still need to do, Sparky, I probably showed it to you at one time, is down here on the cowling. I'm not getting a really good fit right here yet.
That's covered on my channel too, how to do that.
Yeah. I'll feather that in.
Super fill, Dan.
Got to work on that. Here's
wrap the fuselage with clear cellophane, and then smooth on some superfill all the way around the cowl fitting, and then put it on and let it dry, and then when you take it off, you rip the cellophane off, and then square up the cowling, and it's a perfect fit.
Yep, that's right. That's what I'm going to do.
Yep.
So there's the gear mount. It's one of those three holers.
For some reason, the guys like the 4-holers so they can turn them around, move the gear.
Yeah, I never really thought of that, but I think you're right.
I personally like the 3-holer best. You just get the gear in the right spot to begin with.
Yeah.
Good rule of thumb for you guys out there is that when you stand above the airplane and look down over the leading edge, the axle should be right in line with the wheel, or the leading edge of the wheel.
Is that what they're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's about where it's at, right here.
Yeah.
Might be a 1/4 inch back, but it's pretty close.
Well, a 1/4 inch back will make a good asphalt, landing. Won't be too good in the grass, but we don't
No.
mind the grass much.
Here's another one of those gear. There's a bag of bell cranks.
Yeah, how many airplanes can I build out of that now?
I don't know. How much lunch money you got?
I got enough.
These are my personal horns. These are the ones for the airplanes I got coming up. I got high hopes. Here.
Yeah.
I got some, got that sunlight in the background. I haven't bushed these yet. These are the little flap horns. You know, when Howard was talking about all these different horn geometries, I'm thinking, you know what? It'd be nice if somebody had a laser cutter to cut steel, just like they do balsa wood. So that way you could just throw the program in there. Now I'm trying to talk Brent Williams into making these things. So I said, you start making them. I'll tell you exactly how to make these horns. And I'll tell you, you make them. And that way I won't mess with them. But we'll see. I don't know. He's experimenting, but I hope he does. I mean, some of these people are trying to work on landing gear and stuff, so maybe they can start kicking out some parts. So I think I'll let these fillets dry, get them cured, and I'll probably finish working on this canopy and get the paint in there. Do what Sparky said, print off some decals for the instruments. And then from there, I think I'll flip it over to the bottom fillets. And I think once I get to that point, other than the cowl, I should be ready to put some
Lather it up.
Yeah. I got the cowl. It's got one pin here. And I was able to sand this down pretty good, get it pretty thin. What I did is I put like 3 coats of glass on here, maybe 2 ounce or something, I can't remember. So that stiffened the cowl up and allowed me to carve it down really thin. But what it did is it caused the cowl to shrink a little bit, and it gave me this little disparity here. So I either go inside the cowl and probably put cross bracing to hold it so it doesn't shrink anymore, and then also do what Sparky said, lather on some filler and sand that in, because I want that cowl line to be as close as perfect as I can get it. And this is just old school. This is a Super Tiger 60. It's just a big airplane, just what they used to fly back in the early 90s. And I had so so much decent wood in it. I hated to abandon it and get rid of it. So I thought the only option is now is to actually finish it. So
Ain't nothing wrong with Super Tiger 60s. I can tell you that.
I always liked them. You know, I never had any problems with them. So, you know, I think some of these guys that fly, they get used to a certain feel, and everybody likes something different. But I never had any problem with a 60 size airplane with a Tiger on it. I got a couple Tom Lay 60s, and those things were so sweet. They ran like a, I don't know, just like a top, tons of power. So, yeah, probably my lunchtime, Sparky. I'm at a stopping point here, so.
Me too. We can end the stream.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about it and see if we can catch up next week.
You need to get John on camera. Need to call and bug him about getting a camera. You know, they're $20.
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't like they're high dollar or anything.
Oh no. Well, this is on my phone, so I mean, whatever.
He's got a phone too.
Yeah. Just make sure it's charged up before you start.
Or have it plugged in.
Yeah, that's even better. So yeah, one last thing, like I said, any viewers out there, even if you don't know somebody or you don't know yourself as far as how to live stream or internet connections and all that, but you know somebody, let Sparky or me know. One of the things I did do, I joined Pampa, and I'm not sure if I'm in the roster yet, but if you need to contact me, you know, get a hold of somebody in Pampa. James Mills is the director for this area, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio. I'm not sure, not Ohio, but
Missouri.
Illinois, Missouri.
Yeah.
So he's got my number. So yeah, just reach out to me or Sparky if you know anything about live streaming. Now, there's, like Sparky said, there's a lot of 12-year-old kids out there that understand this stuff, but there's a lot of young kids that do this live streaming on motorcycles and bikes and hiking and
skateboarding and stupid shit.
Oh yeah. So I know it can be done, but that's something I'd really like to do. The World Championship's been in Muncie before, but it's not a, you know, it doesn't come around very often. So
once every 10 years.
Yeah. And I think it's, I think it would be nice for the whole world, you know, to be able to watch it live. And, you know, you can walk around with a camera and you can film this stuff all day long and then go back and upload it. But I don't know.
Our biggest problem is the bandwidth there at the L pad. Because I'm running that little hotspot. It's very expensive to run that hotspot. It's about $10 an hour. And, you know, you figure you run it 8 hours a day, that's $80 a day.
Yeah.
And if we could get some way to, you know, really stream at high speed, we could run a better camera. Like he was saying, he could run his camera with good glass in it and all that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when I signed up for this Verizon hotspot, I got in my house the 5G, and that's what I'm on right now. And basically, it was a program where you can sign up for it and you can cancel anytime. And I don't like to be the type of person that buys something that takes it back because they just used it and they want to get rid of it. But if we can get an agreement through T-Mobile or Verizon or AT&T or somebody where they could provide us with a really good hotspot and it really works out good, I mean, basically we could advertise for them too. Just put it on there, this broadcast brought to you by Verizon or whatever. And there's got to be some.
I'm on T-Mobile when I'm out at the out at the pad, and it doesn't work that good because there's no towers out there.
Well, that's where you could probably go into the satellite thing.
Yeah, we need Starlink.
Well, let me call Elon this week and say, hey, Elon, we need,
We need
hey,
sponsorship.
say, I know you'd never fly over Muncie, but can you,
Yeah.
so if you could get some satellites to come over Muncie every once in a while. So I don't know. I'm going to look into it. I think I think it'd be nice. So, and the other thing is, let's say we do this thing and then give enough people the camera. I mean, Bob Hunt knows a lot of people, or some of these people that are really knowledgeable. Turn a camera over to them and say, hey, you know, do you want to do some interviews? Get more people involved, you know, to showcase the hobby. So that's just something to think about. So I'd like to make that happen. So
All right.
basically,
Well, I guess we're going to end this, right?
yep, I'm going to end it. I'm going to go in there and get me something to eat. And after I eat, I'll probably get on there and watch this Sunday at Dan's.
All right. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And maybe I'll see you later on this afternoon. No guarantees, though.
Okay. See you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
See ya. Well, that was Saturday at Dan's, or Saturday with Dan. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.